All right, time to connect about one of my absolute favorite topics, which is finding joy in the chaos. I had to look up what chaos meant. In my mind, I use the word a lot, but in reality, chaos actually means complete disorder, um, complete lack of confidence, total lack of organization. And so I realized that maybe that's not exactly what we're living in. However, in all of our lives, there are a lot of moments, in fact, sometimes even days or seasons that feel totally out of control. And I think that's when I use the word, or when it's not what I would have planned. So, how do we find joy in those moments, which actually make up, in my life at least, more of the days than the days that work out exactly how I would have wanted? So, I'm sitting in a very peaceful place, but just so you know, this is not what the majority of my house looks like. But I do know it's easier to find joy, easier for you guys to listen when we don't have a lot of chaos going on around us. But I do have a dog barking, and I may have some of my family getting home from a run walking through the room. And I thought, you know what? That's what this workshop's all about, is finding joy in real life. So let's really dig into what this conversation's about. My exploring how to find joy in chaos really started when I think back when my kids were little. And I remember being at the beach one night, beautiful St. Joseph, Michigan. The sun was setting. My husband was playing in the water with the kids. They were just so excited, soaking in the moment, so much joy. And I was watching and I felt numb. I felt depressed. I wouldn't have called it that then, but I felt frustrated and I felt scared. I remember thinking specifically, what is it going to take for me to actually feel joy on the inside? I always put a smile on. I have my whole life pretty easily, but there are a lot of times where, because of some of these lessons that I'm going to teach you that I didn't know, or that I often still forget, I get so caught up in all of this chaos and frustrated with the chaos, or exhausted from it, that I'm not even present. I'm not even able to enjoy the moment, which is what we really have. And so it was then when I realized I don't want to live this way. My husband deserves better. My kids deserve better. And I started to learn that God has more for us, and I deserve better, that we were born for joy, no matter what we're going through. And so let's talk about these 5 lessons that I learned, that I continually, God reminds me and relearns or reteaches me. But my hope is that you guys each pick one of these lessons, a piece of it that you want to really grab onto, especially during, if there was a chaotic time, coronavirus, pandemic would be it. So many new changes. We might not have as many things on our plate, but life looks different. It's not what we planned. And to find joy wearing a mask, to find joy not being able to be with the people we care about, to find joy in whatever situation, that's what we're talking about. And that's what the first lesson was for me, was joy, it comes from the inside. Joy doesn't come from the outside. And I pursued my first 25 years or more, I was striving to find joy. I was striving to hit goals. I was striving to, have all these accomplishments, graduate school, college, graduate chiropractic school, meet the man of my dreams, have a baby, have more baby. Like, it was all, and when you get there, again, babies are amazing. And there's still this piece inside where an outside thing doesn't bring joy. It's always on the inside. It's how we perceive it. And so that's what we want to really get into. I mean, when I think of this second lesson, joy depends on our focus. And so holding a newborn baby, when you're totally focused on what a gift it is, that this miracle that came from your own body, right? That you're holding that little one, you experience joy, even though you went through so much pain. But it's this incredible joy and this thing that you've been looking forward to. But shortly after that, any of you who have little ones know there's not much sleep. There's crying baby. I remember getting home from the hospital with our first one and crying. Not happiness tears anymore, but crying because I had no idea what were we going to do and how are we going to care for him. And it was just a lot more than I initially thought, which goes into this next lesson, which is joy. Let me read my notes. I'm sorry. Joy blooms with expectancy. This gets into what's our expectation versus what's are we living in expectancy. And where I get into the most trouble, what steals my joy most often, and I don't know about you, if you're the same, but when I have certain expectations, whether it's on what I'm going to accomplish in a day, accomplish in a morning, accomplish in a month, accomplish in 6 months, accomplish in a decade. It doesn't matter what length of time, but when I have expectations and anything different than that, I feel let down. Even if it was even better. But when my plan doesn't follow through, which is so similar, you think about like little kids, they are so full of joy unless they had an expectation, right? Kids, they thrive in chaos. Now they need some structure, but they thrive when things are different and something unexpected. It's exciting. They're curious. They want to find out more, and that's how we all were. But then we start to want to control our world. We want to control how other people interact and how they affect our world. We want everything to look a certain way. We want each room in the house to have zero clutter, but that wouldn't be lived in. And so I've learned and continue to learn that it is when I go into something just with expectancy that God's got something. I don't know what it is, but I know He made me for joy, and somehow something good's going to come out of this. It's a whole lot easier to experience joy than when I am planning for life to go a certain way. Right now, we've all had a lot of these situations, right? 2020, the year of disappointments for a lot of us, probably for all of us. Spring break. We all had plans, whether it was a staycation or, again, even if it was a staycation, you still planned to eat out. I had a big trip for my daughter's 13th birthday. We were going to Colorado, downhill skiing, and celebrating her becoming a woman, and great conversations. And there was just a whole lot of different pieces that we had planned. And I was really upset, disappointed, probably depressed for a little while when this first all happened and everything shut down, as many of you may have been. It was like a roller coaster of emotions, but joy was not one that I was feeling much of. But when I shift my focus, right, and shift my expectations, it's amazing. I know there's going to be something awesome. I don't know what it is that her and I are going to do because we're not making plans yet. I'm not trying to control what's going to happen this summer because there's too much out of our control, which I think is one of the biggest lessons God has for us right now. Let's live with expectancy. So lesson 1, right, is that joy comes from the inside. Lesson 2, joy depends on our focus, right? Are we focusing on the problem, or are we focusing on solutions? Are we focusing on what we don't like? Because if we focus on what we don't like, you know what's going to happen, right? That's what you see. That's what you experience. No matter how amazing a spouse is, if you're focused on what they don't do quite up to your standard, you're going to be disappointed. But when we can change our thoughts and focus on what we do appreciate, that's when life looks so different. So that was number 2. Joy depends on our focus, and joy grows with gratitude. I had jumped right over this one. I went right into expectancy, but joy grows with gratitude. This really digs into our thoughts and what we can do to really develop more joy. Because again, it comes from inside, but our thoughts are what really determine whether or not we experience it and we express it. And what I have found has helped me the absolute most is being grateful. And also pausing. Everyone take a deep breath in and out. And now I want you to either write down on a piece of paper or in your mind, think of one person that you are so thankful for today. And think of one situation in your life that you're thankful for today. Think of one promise, one promise God's given that you're thankful for, that you can cling to. Think of one silly thing that's happened in your life that actually turned out good. Because actually, when we talk about expectations, when we let go of expectations, most of our favorite moments in life were when things went wrong, things went chaotic. But when we're able to experience that chaos and be fully present, those are moments we look back on and we have great memories of them. And that's my hope, that 2020 is a year where we're making those kind of moments. And I have to tell you, I am not making them very often right now. I feel like my life's more chaotic right now than it has been since my kids were little. Those of you who have little ones, chaos is a daily part of life. And I remember people telling me, you're gonna, like, they grow up fast. Enjoy these moments. And looking at them and just, yeah, they can't grow up quite fast enough. And that's horrible to say, but in my mind, it's just like, I just can't wait to the next stage. You know, I just can't wait until they can do this on their own. I just can't wait. And the reality is that next stage, there's always something further down the road, and we miss moments. I've missed so many moments, and I can't get those back. I mean, this seminar today, I think I'm actually speaking to myself more than to each of you. I think I need to hear this message as much, if not more, than anyone else who could be listening to this. And so I'm hoping that this will soak in. Because I know I don't know how long I have. That's what I know, is that I don't know. None of us do. But God does give us choice over the quality of our days, the quality of our moments. So, joy, it blooms with expectancy, curiosity, not with expectations. And lastly, joy spreads with community, right? With community, doing life together, which is such a challenge right now because of the 6-foot spatial or social distancing order, makes it really tough to do life in community. But I love how you guys have been getting creative, even us doing seminars virtually so we can try to be together. It matters. And soon we are going to be able to be together. And hopefully we will climb this second mountain together. That's where we find joy, when we do it together, not for our own self, not to just accomplish these different goals, right? That's never fulfilling. I think of, I don't know the exact verse, but I recall often Paul saying, whether I had lots or nothing, right? Plenty or not much, right? I have found the secret, right, to finding joy. It's inside, it's above down. God's put it there. We just have to access it. It's not external. It's not external, but it's meant to be lived together. Joy's contagious. There's just something, when one person starts laughing, right, the whole room lightens up. That's what we want to be spreading right now. I mean, just me talking about this, I feel so much lighter. I feel like I was chaotic this morning trying to post videos and trying to get my stuff together to be able to do this video. And again, just talking about it makes me stressed out. And no, let's breathe. I love connecting to my heart, connecting other people to what's in their heart, connecting people to God, connecting people with each other. And God's put something in each of your hearts. And you might not know exactly how to put it into words, but I know that there is joy inside of all of us. And it's not based on circumstances. If it was, then people in third world countries would not have joy when they don't have food or shelter. But sometimes a lot of missionaries come back and what do they say? The most joy-filled people they've ever met have nothing. I don't think they have high expectations. I think they live with expectancy and gratitude for what they do have. They find joy in the simple. And I want to get to that. I need your guys' help and reminder to do that. We need community. We need each other to remind one another. I think of one of my favorite mentors and friends, and she lost her son when he was a teenager in a car accident. And she's one of the most joy-filled people I know. If she can still have joy after losing someone so close, so early, we can all find joy in no matter what situation we're going on. That doesn't mean she's thankful for what happened to her son. She misses him dearly every day. But she's grateful for the time she had with him. Right? She remembers the fond memories and she knows she'll see him again. And she's thankful for the time and the way God's worked to comfort her. And she's so grateful for the people she can comfort because he was with her in a really trying time that none of us could even imagine. And she just just joy just oozes out of her. I mean, you're just being with her. You smile bigger. You feel lighter. And that's who we're all called to be. It's those beacons of joy. Now, not in every moment. That's what we need community. We need each other, right? Because when one person's down and someone else, it's authentic joy though, not just putting a smile on. I've done that a long time when I was just dying inside. I'm talking real on joy. And how do we get that? Well, there's a lot of different ways, but as I said, I've learned a lot of different lessons. I've studied joy a lot. I've done the 40-day joy challenge. We bought a lot of you guys that devotional a couple of years ago, but I've read that book probably 10 to 15 times. I'm doing the video series right now because I know I need to stay mindful, realizing it's not from the outside. Joy's already in me. We just gotta let it out. We gotta slow down enough, which is a blessing right now. There's less stuff on our schedule. We can be strategic with our thoughts. But it's even more critical right now that we are strategic with our thoughts. So what are these lessons? I've learned that joy, it comes from within. That joy depends on your focus, right? We can't be focused on the things that don't matter. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. My favorite book in high school. And it's still true, right? Focus on what really matters. And then be grateful for those moments. Joy, it grows with gratitude. Like a flower, I mean, it just grows when it's nourished. Gratitude, it just continues. That joy just continues to bubble over. And joy, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes again. Joy, it blooms with, you guys know the word now, expectancy. It dies with expectations. So that might be one of the things that you want to look at, right? Letting go of expectations and embracing a mindset of expectancy. Or the last lesson that you may want to really focus on is how joy, it spreads with community. And that's what the sign you guys put up, right? Spread love, joy, and hope. We're doing Windows of Hope right now with local businesses, trying to encourage them to write messages, joy-filled messages, messages of hope. So we can all be spreading that because it's contagious. And so right now, in these last 8 or 9 minutes, I would love for you guys to type in a message, type in a comment, and just share what is one area that something I said that really resonated with you that you're going to focus on, you want to remember so that you can experience more joy. Not once coronavirus is over, right? Not once we're through this, because then there's always something else. But now, starting now, what is that one thing? And what's one action that kind of relates to that you can take and that you're committing to take to guarantee more joy? Right? Because it's in you. It doesn't depend on everything outside. So let's do it together. I can't wait to hear and connect with people and find out what comments you guys put. And so when I see you next, we can engage about it. And I'll be sure to share. I'll be on the Wednesday lunch seminar, and Brooke will be with you Tuesday night. So you guys are awesome. And let's all experience more joy, and let's share more joy.